Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Khalida Miller. I am the creative director and owner of Worship with Flags. We would love for you to be a part of the community by hitting that subscribe button and turning on post notifications so that you're alerted every time we drop a new video. If this is not your first time here, welcome back. We are so glad that you decided to be a part of the community. On this channel, we try to provide a variety of information for you, from how-to, some tips, worship, flag fitness. We're just continuing to grow. So we would love to hear from you if there's anything in particular that you would like to see on this channel. Today, we have a much needed video. We have people who reach out who are just starting out in flag ministry and they just simply don't know where to start. So today we're going to provide some tips for you. If you are just beginning your journey in flag ministry, the tips will cover the different types of fabric, rod selections, and just more helpful things to help you start on your journey, okay? So today, we are going to first, tip number one, we're going to discuss your flag selection. So flag selection is important. So I'm not saying that you can't use a large or extra large flag, but what I would suggest is that if you are a beginner flagger, that you start with a medium-sized flag. So we currently stock two different types of medium-sized flags. So don't get thrown off by the name. We have a child size and an adult size. Now they can be used interchangeably. I just use those two different titles to just explain the size of them. So the child one, of course, is a little bit smaller. Currently, our child medium is 46 inches in width, 32 inches in height, and I'm also going to show you the flags as well in this video. And our adult medium is 56 inches in width, 36 inches in height. So the adult flag has a little bit longer of a wing, all right? But we'll see both of those today. So I would suggest that if you are just starting out, again, a medium-sized flag is perfect. It gives you time to get comfortable with the flag. It gives you time to get comfortable with the movement, all right? So next, we want to talk about the different types of fabric. So as a beginner, we would suggest either a poly silk or an organza. Both of them are lightweight. Of course, the organza is much lighter than a poly silk, but the poly silk is just as light. So they both work. We don't suggest you starting out with double layers and triple layers, or either large or extra large, because then you can't really get the feel of the flag because it's so much fabric and you're focusing on the fabric and the flag instead of the movement as you're learning, right? So we suggest medium-sized flag, either child or adult medium, and either poly silk or organza. So the next tip, we want to also say rod type is important. If you are just starting out, we currently stock 3 different types of rods: wood rod, an acrylic rod, which is a form of a flex rod, and then we have a fiberglass flex rods. So as a beginner, we suggest a wood dowel. A wood dowel allows you to completely control the movement of the flag. By starting with the fiberglass, you have to do more, it takes more control and it takes more coordination. So then you're concentrating more on all of the fabric and the movement, whereas though we want you to take your time, right? So make sure if you are a beginning flagger, start with wood. By all means, if you want to start with fiberglass, you can, but that is just our suggestion. So before we move on to the next tips, I want to show you the 2 different sizes. This first flag, this would be our child medium. This is 46 inches in width, 32 inches in length, right? Next up, this is our adult medium. This is 46 inches in width, 36 inches in height. These 2 particular flags are on wood dowels. So if you put them together, this is the difference. So it's a little bit longer and it's a little bit wider. So this is why I said they're interchangeably. You could use either. So if you feel as though that you are a shorter adult, you could try the child medium. If you feel like, okay, I'm too tall, this is too little, then you could do the adult medium. But either one is not a wrong choice, all right? So these are the 2 different flags that we would suggest that you start off with. All right, so the next tip, I'm just knocking out all my flags. All right, so the next tip is that we suggest that you start with one hand. By starting with one hand, I tell people all the time, it allows you to focus on your movement, whatever that may be. Get comfortable, and most, of course, if you start with one hand, you want to start with your dominant hand. Master the movement that you're trying to do before you try to put that second hand, because once you put that second hand, then you need coordination and you feel like you're kind of like all over the place. So practice with one hand. That is completely normal. Everybody starts with one hand. Like, I remember when I first started flag ministry, every time I worship, I had one flag, because it's easier to get comfortable with one flag. And then once you get comfortable with that one flag, then you could join the second hand and start to master those movements. All right? So we also suggest that you start with one hand. All right, until you are comfortable. All right, next tip is to remember that the flag is just an extension of you. So if you move your flag here, if you move your arm here, the flag will go with you. If you move your arm here, the flag will go with you. So the flag is just doing what your arm tells it to do. So just look at it as just an extension of your arm. You control the movement. Whatever you want it to do, it'll do. When you first start out, don't worry about stuff being raveled up. It'll come loose, right? And we can show tips about that later. But just get comfortable with moving. Whatever that looks like, movement. And just remember, this is another tip that you can get used to. When you start with your one hand, that second hand can still always follow. So even if you're using one, the second hand that doesn't have a flag, just get used to moving it with it. So then when it's time to put that flag in the other hand, you didn't have it like sitting here the whole time and you're like, now I don't know what to do. All right? So remember that each flag bearer is created differently. A lot of the movements is in your arms and your wrist action. So everybody will look different. I know you see a lot of videos, don't try to mock other people's movement. We will never, ever look the same, okay? It doesn't matter, we could both start on the same day. We could have both been flagging for the same amount of years. We will look different because we are created differently. So always remember, when you walking into this journey as becoming a flag bearer, to always be you. Always be who you are and who God created you to be. And as you continue to work on this gift, He will continue to grow you to where you are and what you're supposed to look like in your worship with flags, okay? So that is very, very important that as you're starting out, don't try to mock and look like anybody else. However your arm moves, whatever way your wrist twists, that's your movement, right? Your movement only, right? It's not meant for anybody else to look like that because God created us all differently, all right? So, let's see, did I have anything else I wanted to say? I want to now do some demonstrations with the different type of rods so that you can see the difference between using a wood dowel and using the flex rod, all right? So today, I do only have, let's start with the child medium. So for the one movement, you can either have both flags in one hand and use it, right? Whatever you want to do, start somewhere. See how it says all in the wrist movement. Or you could say, okay, only want to carry one flag, start with that. Same thing, use one. Just practice your movement, what you're supposed to look like. That's it. Whatever that's supposed to look like, whatever your dominant hand, that's where you start. Or if you want to make it used to having both, you can keep the one in your hand and just keep it still. This will give your other arm that knows that eventually it's going to do something, right? So you can always keep something in your hand so you don't feel like we're just doing like this. Or, I'm gonna just keep them both. Or you can move both hands with you to get used to the movement. So this is all in stages, of course. You start with the one, right, by itself. Then you can start with holding the other one as you're moving this one, right? And then you can start with moving your hands together to get your other arm ready to say, okay, we're going to be moving soon with the flag, right? So do it in stages, take your time. Also, medium flags are perfect for indoor worship. They're not too big. That's another reason why we don't suggest the large and the extra large, because sometimes it's so much fabric that you can't really control the movement. So if you start with a smaller flag, and the wood dowel has absolutely no flex, so it's more controlled on your movements, okay? So the difference with the adult medium, because you have so much more fabric, it looks different. So when you move, you got a whole lot more angel wing, more fabric. But again, the fabric just drops, so you don't have to worry about that. Also, as a beginner flagger, one thing I see a lot of people doing when you're starting out, especially with angel wings, with the wing, always remember this is where you hold your flag. Sometimes I see people worshiping and they worship them in this, and by doing that, your angel wing is not flowing the way it's supposed to. See the difference? Remember, for angel wing flags only, handle is at the end, angel wing is here, so that when you move, the fabric just follows, all right? So that's on the wood dowel. So that's why we would suggest the wood dowel, because you're able to control more. So let me show you, these are the same size flags. These are adult medium poly silk, and these are on the fiberglass. We don't have any made on the acrylics, but this is just to give you an example of the different movement with the two different rods. So by having a fiberglass, as you can see how that flex? So therefore, when you're flagging, it's more resistant. So if you're just learning, you're trying to get the movement, but the fiberglass is kind of, it takes a whole lot more coordination. So look at the difference. See the difference in the rod? So of course, the goal is, if you love fiberglass, is to work your way up to that, but we suggest wood so that you can master the movement, get comfortable in the movement. You have plenty of time to add double layers and triple layers and large and extra large and 10-foot. You have plenty of time for that. Get comfortable, okay, with just the basic medium flag, all right? So I wanted to show you the difference in the movement with the fiberglass. So even with the two, look at the difference. This is the fiber, right? I'm gonna do the same movement. Let me lay these down. See the difference? I hope you can see the difference. I can see the difference. I can definitely feel the difference. I mean, if you're one of those people that you want to have both, then buy one of each and kind of see which one matches your comfort level, okay? And then again, these are just suggestions on what we suggest is best, all right? So before we wrap this up, these are all the poly silk flags. So we do want to show you the the organza as well. Sorry guys, all right. Organza, much lighter. So unfortunately today, I thought I had some organza on the wood dowels, but you already saw the demonstration of how the wood dowels work. So these organza are on flex rods, but as you can see, this is a much lighter fabric. Look at the flex. Very light, very flowy. You see the poly silk has that whip. This is just airy and flowy, the same thing, one arm. There's nothing worse than with one arm, right? Follow, 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 okay? So just remember, same thing here, with the fiberglass, look. So it takes a whole lot more control with your arm and your wrist movement than a wood dowel. The wood dowel, you just go up and down, right? So it's a big difference. So either fabric or work. We suggest poly silk or organza because they are on the lighter end. The heavier fabrics like taffeta, and then when you get into double A's and triple layers, because it's more fabric, it's much heavier. All right, I believe that is it for today. Please let us know if you have any additional questions. If you would like to see videos where we kind of go through the step-by-step, maybe with the different basic, like getting started movements with the worship flags, just basically let us know what type of videos that you would like to see, and we will put them together because we want to help you as much as we can. Of course, as always, if you have any questions, if anything was unclear, please feel free to drop it in a comment. We love to interact with you, and we try to respond to every single message. So prayerfully, these tips are helpful for you in your journey, continuing to pray to the Father and just asking him, like, Lord, what do you want me to do? Lord, what type of flagger do you want me to do? Lord, how do you want me to worship you? So just remember through this journey to also ask the Father to reveal those things on what is the flag ministry as a flag bearer, what that looks like for you, all right? Because we all are called to do something a little bit different, even in the same artistry, all right? So remember, final thoughts, I'm gonna say it one more time. As you flag, as you start this journey, always remember to be you. Don't try to look like anybody else. Don't try to move like anybody else. My arm is a different length as the next person. My wrist has a different movement than the other person. My coordination is different than another person. So we all are going to look differently. We can stand in a line and do the same movements, and we'll all look different. But guess what? The Father is getting glory from every single one of our worship, right? So practice at home. Grab you your medium flags with your wood dowels, or if you want to skip straight to fiberglass, that's fine too. Just know it'll be a little bit more work. It definitely will. It definitely be a little bit more work. But whatever you're called to do, that's what you do. So again, thank you so much for watching. We hope to connect with you really soon. And until next time, continue to honor the Father in all areas of your life. Continue to worship him and to continue to glorify him. We love you. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.